In Hollywood blockbusters, you always have that legendary scene called the training montage. You know it, right? The main character gets beaten, retreats to an isolated forest, the background music explodes, and boom! 5 minutes later, he comes back and takes down the villain. That is movies. But in the real world, there are people actually applying that exact script to their own lives, right now. Maybe it is the coworker who quit last month, or the ex-girlfriend who blocked you on every platform. They completely cut ties with the outside world. No social media, no hanging out. They become ghosts. But the truth is, they aren't running away. They are entering the most brutal boot camp created by themselves. Why do they have to do it in secret? Why is nobody knowing the ultimate survival factor for their success? I'm Apex, and today we're going to decode the psychology of people who rebuild their lives in secret. How did they do it? Let's find out right now. To step into this surgery, we have to face the first wound. Do you know what the worst part of falling flat on your face is? It's not the bleeding scrape on your knee. It's having about 50 people standing around, staring at you, and constantly asking, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Why were you so careless? Let me help you up." Exactly. After a massive life crash, a lot of people don't actually hurt because of what they lost. Lost money can be earned back. A lost job just means sending your resume somewhere else. They hurt because they have to keep existing under the eyes of people who know they just failed. Psychology doesn't have an official term for this, but we can use a metaphor and call it the bleeding ego state. When you hit rock bottom, your ego is so fragile that it's almost transparent. In that irritated state, the amygdala, the brain's red alert center, gets incredibly paranoid. It processes any attention from the crowd as a survival threat. People whispering and staring? Threat. Advice like, "Hey, hang in there, you'll win the next one?" Threat. Even those comforting eyes full of pity? Especially a threat. Your brain absolutely hates pity because it secretly confirms a power dynamic. You are the underdog, you are broken, and we are whole. If you keep forcing yourself to stay in that crowd, a biological paradox happens. Being constantly watched and checked on will skyrocket the cortisol stress hormone in your body. And when you are locked in this survival mode, the prefrontal cortex, the center for logical thinking and problem solving, gets severely suppressed. You should be using 100% of your brain energy to figure out how to pay off debt, learn a new skill, or go to therapy. But nope, because you're in a crowd, your brain prioritizes using that tiny bit of leftover energy to act. To act like you are still fine. To act to save that last bit of dignity. It's exactly like your phone being at 2% battery, but you turn on the flashlight to see the road. It is definitely going to die. So you actively locking the door, ignoring calls, and canceling all plans is actually your way of turning off society's security camera. With nobody looking, you don't have to act. Your life energy is finally pulled back to where it belongs, used for self-healing. However, an open wound can't heal if it just sits forever in a bacteria-filled environment. There is another invisible psychological barrier forcing us to leave immediately. Flipping the breaker to reject those pitying eyes is just a temporary bandage. Along with the craving to protect that fragile ego, there is another massive, invisible psychological barrier forcing them to pack up and leave right away. The curse of the old environment. Let's be honest. Have you ever noticed that even though you have grown up and changed so much, every time you go home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, you unconsciously act exactly as grumpy as a 15-year-old kid? Welcome to what psychology calls the labeling effect. When you live in an environment for too long, people around you will accidentally, or on purpose, slap a label on your forehead. The impulsive one, the failure, or the one who always needs help. The creepy part of behavioral science is right here. If people constantly treat you according to that label, your neural network will unconsciously force you to act in a way that perfectly fits their expectations. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even if you scream in your head, "I have changed," when you face that best friend who always sees you as a mess, your body language will automatically show exactly that messiness. The people who choose to silently disappear realize a harsh truth. Their wounds will constantly get ripped open if they stay in the old environment. They have to completely format their living situation and rip off the old label. And the only way is to step into a nameless space, a place where the barista handing you your morning coffee just looks at you as a customer, a literal blank slate, no past, no prejudice. Being anonymous right now isn't running away. It is the purest oxygen saving a dying ego. Sounds liberating, right? The door is closed, contact is cut, finally getting some peace and quiet. You're probably going to brew a cup of tea, turn on some lo-fi music, and peacefully meditate to restart your life. Forget that script. If you think going off the grid is as poetic as those aesthetic videos online, you're dead wrong. The second you step into that safe space, your brain instantly hits you with a brutal shock. The modern human brain is basically a reward craving machine. It's used to eating constant dopamine hits from society. You post a photo? Dopamine. Ding. Someone texts to check on you? Dopamine. Ding. You complain and people join in to bash your enemy? A massive dose of dopamine. When you personally pull the plug on the world, you cut off this entire food supply. The brain right now has no clue what is going on. The sudden disruption of the reward system makes it react as violently as if you were used to eating salty food and suddenly went full vegan. Researcher Brené Brown calls this phase the messy middle. It isn't smooth sailing, it's incredibly dark. You'll go through this horrible, restless feeling, your hand unconsciously wanting to grab your phone. Panic hits when you realize, crap, nobody invited me anywhere this weekend. And the peak is the chilling feeling when you realize a brutal truth. The earth still spins perfectly fine without you. Everyone is still doing great, and you are being forgotten. This is the most brutal filter, the one that eliminates 90% of people who loudly claim they want to go off the grid. Your mind will constantly scream, make excuses, and push you to reopen social media. Shoot a random text to your ex, or find someone to grab a drink with just to feel like you still exist. And to suppress the panic in this silence, the human mind often unconsciously reaches for an incredibly toxic painkiller. In that agonizing dopamine withdrawal, how does the human mind survive? Pretty simple. When you're in too much pain, you'll grab whatever painkiller is readily available within your reach. And usually the fuel that shows up first, brightest, and easiest to access in the dark is spite. A lot of people grit their teeth through the first few isolated months with just one single thought. I'm going to work like crazy, I'm going to get rich, I'm going to hit the gym and get totally ripped, and then one day I'll show up like a god to prove to all the people who looked down on me that they were completely wrong. Don't be so quick to judge. We've all had this secret script in our heads. We have to admit, spite is a super high quality fuel at the starting line. It's like chugging 3 cans of Red Bull at once. It pumps adrenaline into your blood, forces you to wake up at 5 a.m., and makes you grind without getting tired. It keeps you from collapsing when your mind is at its weakest. But just like Red Bull, it has a limit. And when it wears off, you're going to crash and it's going to hurt a lot. If you bother to rewind your memory to the beginning of the video, I advised you to isolate yourself to protect yourself, right? Yes, physical isolation is good, but at this stage, psychologically, a cruel paradox is happening. If you grind day and night just to prove other people wrong, then basically your mind is still being pulled by the exact people you hate. You think you're isolating yourself? Not at all. You secretly dragged that entire audience right into your bedroom. The people who mocked you, the boss who fired you, the ex who cheated on you, they are the ones actually steering your emotions. You are just the one breaking your back, pressing the gas pedal, and paying for the gas. Revenge motivation might help you run the first 10 miles. But when this painkiller wears off, you will realize a terrifying truth. Hiding from pity or using spite as motivation still hasn't fixed the core wound. It's time for you to actually pick up the scalpel. By the way, if you enjoy listening to psychology content like this while working, relaxing, or before going to sleep, you can find Apex Psychology on Spotify. Simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code on the screen to listen anytime. Now let's continue. And then that day finally comes, when the rage completely evaporates, when that noisy energy runs out and you realize that clapping back at people doesn't fill the deep hole inside you, you will be left in absolute silence. Nobody left to blame, no situation left to curse at. Now it's just you and the true enemy of your life, yourself. The great psychologist Carl Jung once introduced a concept that changed the entire field of psychoanalysis, called the shadow. He believed that each of us has an unconscious basement where we stuff all the ugly parts of ourselves that we always deny. It's not just obvious flaws like arrogance, jealousy, laziness, or cowardice. Actually, according to Jung, there's even a golden shadow down there, meaning those super cool hidden talents that we just hide away out of fear. When the noise of the crowd outside dies down, that is when the door to the shadow basement opens. This is exactly why rebuilding in secret is so brutal. It isn't a monologue speech, it is a ruthless interrogation of your own ego. You sit on the floor at 3 a.m., face the psychological mirror, and dissect yourself with your own hands. You have to swallow a really bitter pill. The recent collapse, the black hole you are standing in, wasn't 100% just bad luck or other people sabotaging you. A huge part of it is your own fault. Maybe your ego was too big to listen to anyone's advice. Maybe it was impulsiveness. Maybe you were delusional about your own power. Or maybe you were just too cowardly to stand up and claim your true potential. You personally smashed the rotten foundation of the old ego, brick by brick. No outside interference or comforting. Like I said in the beginning, this is major surgery without anesthesia. You have to hold the scalpel yourself, cut out the dead tissue yourself, and stitch it back up yourself. Absolute agony. But when the wound scabs over, the surgery is a success. Walking out of the operating room with a freshly cleaned foundation, the brain begins its resetting process. But so what if you're awake? Think you're gonna rush out and run a marathon right away? Dream on. Just like a patient fresh out of recovery, you have to go through a silent and incredibly stubborn physical therapy phase. A more independent operating mechanism starts forming. Remember that feeling of the brain getting smacked down from dopamine starvation earlier? Luckily, thanks to something called neuroplasticity, the nervous system starts reconfiguring its own reward network. This process isn't some emotional, I am determined to change vibe. It's a gradual adjustment from the inside out. Instead of desperately waiting for likes, applause, or praise from the public like before, the brain has now learned how to pump its own dopamine, right while you're grinding away at work. You start finding deep satisfaction in nameless discipline. Waking up at 5 a.m., jogging in the early morning fog, finishing a chapter of a book, completing a block of code, or eating a bland but healthy meal. You repeat those boring habits every single day, in the dark, without anyone looking or validating you. Just like practicing tiny movements in a rehab room, every repeated habit is a new neural pathway being deeply carved in. Two psychologists, Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, call this intrinsic motivation. It isn't loud, it has no drama, it's just a steady, stubborn, and unstoppable shift. At this point, your inner strength is no longer like branches trying to reach out to catch the sunlight of attention. It has turned into a root system. The darker it is, the deeper the roots grow, gripping tightly into the earth to suck up nutrients to survive on their own. Once the roots are solid, the storms of praise and criticism above ground are completely meaningless. An untouchable mindset is slowly taking shape. When that physical therapy process runs long enough, any persistence will bring results. The day when your wealth is restored, your body gets ripped, your mind gets sharp, and you are ready to check out of the hospital and step into the light will come. According to the Hollywood script, this would be the most epic scene. The background music goes hard, slow motion frame, you walk into the room, throw your achievements right on the table, mic drop, and watch everyone who ever looked down on you drop their jaws in shock. Sweet revenge, right? But in real life, a super weird but absolutely beautiful psychological mutation takes place. The day you get those results, you suddenly realize you are incredibly unbothered. The need to be noticed, to show off, or to prove yourself evaporated completely without you even noticing. The illusions of clapping back at the haters just fell off somewhere during those quiet months. You look back at the people who mocked you, and you don't feel hate, and you don't even feel proud. You just feel nothing. You just don't care. That feeling is exactly like someone randomly asking you about your math test score from middle school. Who on earth remembers? Who on earth cares anymore? Don't get it twisted. This indifference is absolutely not emotional numbness or denying reality. You are still alive, still loving and feeling life fully and deeply. You just don't need anyone to validate that you are feeling it the right way anymore. The audience that used to pack your head full, the ones who borrowed your spite to pull the strings of your mind in those early days, have now completely vanished. Your mind is now a vastly quiet and wide open space. You act, create, and live entirely for your own fulfillment. You are reborn. If you're sitting in front of this screen and realize you are somewhere on that journey, whether you just slammed the door on the world, are struggling in the middle of that terrifying silence, or are quietly rebuilding day by day without anyone knowing, I want to pat you on the shoulder and say this: the silence right now is absolutely not weakness. That loneliness doesn't mean the world abandoned you. It means your system is screaming for a break. You are just building your own sterile room to heal. What caterpillar wants to become a butterfly without having to lie still in a cocoon, right? So just stay quiet. Don't rush to prove anything to anyone. Let yourself be sad, face the mess, and heal at your own pace. There's no rush to go anywhere. If you are on the journey to fix yourself, drop a comment below so that you and anyone scrolling by to read it will realize, oh, turns out this sterile room is actually pretty crowded. If this video helped clear your head even a little bit, hit like and subscribe to the channel so we can keep exploring other mysteries of the mind. I'm Apex. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me ramble all the way to the end. See you in the next video.